morning, all. So good to see everyone again. So another one of these. It's a little bit different than usual. First of all, this is the first actual driving one of these that I am still doing from my home state of Alaska. I know you really can't see any proof of that out of the window. So for all you know, I'm driving in Timbuktu, but I am in fact still here in Alaska. And usually I like to do these right after I see the film, like as I'm leaving. But this time it's been overnight, so I've had some time to let it stew a little bit, which I really didn't want to do when I started these, but that's the way it is. And also, I'm not driving home. This is, at the time I'm recording this, it's 7:30 in the morning, and I'm heading down to TBA for Tech Week, first day of Tech Week. So this is technically a drive to TBA review. So yeah. My brain's not really in it right now, and there's a lot of reasons for that. It's the early morning. Oh, you can see the Taco Bell sign. Yes, Scenic Alaska Taco Bell right there. So, never let it be said I didn't show you the sights whilst doing these reviews. So yeah, my brain is a bit out of it. It's early in the morning. As I said, it's the first day of Tech Week, so there's a lot of stuff going on in my head. This is also the last week that I'm in Alaska. It's Monday right now as I'm recording this, so that means a week from today I'm flying back to Tennessee, and I've got my new job coming up and still got a lot of stuff I gotta do for that. So I've got a lot of stuff kind of bouncing around inside my head, so I'm trying to do that and do a review for a film that came out over almost a month ago from the time I saw it, and this review isn't going to be posted until I get back to Tennessee, because it takes me a day to upload a video here, like a full day. That's how slow my parents' internet connection is. So I'm going to be doing this. This review isn't going to be posted until almost a month after a film that nobody cared about came out, so I don't know who's even going to watch this. So yeah, that's that. Let me see if I can adjust this real quick while I'm driving through Eagle River right now. So anyway, Legend of Tarzan. In a weird way, I think this movie, whether it meant to or not, is like the perfect antithesis of what this summer at the movies has been like. It sums up the entire summer very, very well, in that it's a reboot, remake, reimagining, sequel, prequel, whatever, that nobody really asked for, and when you get right down to it, nobody really cared about. And I remember when I first saw trailers for this film, and I was looking at it going, oh, it's one of these overly CGI'd things. It's going to be a complete mess, but maybe it'll be fun to watch, because those kind of movies can sometimes be fun. And no, it most certainly was not fun. It was again not just an antithesis of the summer blockbuster scene this year, but of movies in general, in that it's a dull, slow, utterly joyless film. It's the color palette is washed out. It's a lot of Tarzan moping around, looking stone-faced, and trying to come to terms with this, that, or the other thing. It's every problem I've had with Man of Steel, Spectre, all these other films. I mean, I've seen a lot of Tarzan movies. My dad's a big fan of the original Johnny Weissmuller ones. Hang on just a second, I gotta merge here, and this is always a bit of a fun, especially in this car, which does not have any pickup anymore. So we're trying to speed up so you can get into a lane, and you really don't have the speed for it. But anyway. Okay, alright, we're in. Huzzah! I'd really hate to have you see a huge traffic accident during one of these, but I am driving on the Glen Highway, so it's possible you're going to see that anyway. Anywho, But yeah, it's very gray, and so anyway, I've seen like the Johnny Weissmuller ones. I've seen the like everyone, I saw the Disney version. I'm familiar with the Christopher Lambert, Tarzan of Greystoke, version. There's a lot of versions of this character, and I can appreciate that you're trying to do a film from a somewhat outdated and silly concept, and you're trying to make it have some weight and make it, I don't want to say deep, but deep or important or something. You're trying to treat it seriously and not like kiddie fare, and I can appreciate that. But there is a certain point where you have to look at your subject matter, look at your source material, and go, how damn serious do we need to take bloody Tarzan? It's a movie about a guy who was raised by apes and who fights jungle animals. How bloody serious do we need to take this? And this movie, like a lot of movies of its kind, takes itself too damn seriously. They try to lighten it up by having Samuel L. Jackson tag along and make snide comments, and a lot of his comments are funny, but I mean, it doesn't help. It doesn't do anything. I'll get to Samuel L. Jackson in a minute. But yeah, when did we? People wonder why Disney movies these days do so well. I've harped on about the Marvel movies a lot, but think of them, think of their Star Wars film, think of their Pixar movies, which I'm not even a huge Pixar fan, but I can admit, a thing that Pixar does well is that these films, all of them, bright, colorful, joyous, fun to sit through. And yeah, they have deeper things. I've never been particularly moved by a Pixar film, but I know a lot of people that are. So it means that they're doing something right. It means that they're able to combine the two things, a deeper storyline with something that's fun to watch. And they're successful at it. Why does everybody else feel like they have to go against the grain? I compare this movie a lot to Spectre, the last James Bond movie. I remember a time when a James Bond movie came out, and I was like, oh boy, I get to go see a movie about, a guy having a lot of adventures, sex with hot women, beating some goofy named bad guy, and having spectacular car chases, and doing it all with a smile and a wink, and going, that's awesome, I love that. Then you go see something like Spectre, and it's this long, drawn-out, mopey, stone-faced, oh, my existence, oh, everything is so sad, oh, da-da-da-da-da, for 2.5 hours. And I'm not saying that the ultra-realistic or the darker tone type films don't have their place. No, I bitch about Spectre, but I really love Casino Royale and Skyfall. I really enjoyed Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. I'm not saying that those type of films don't have their place or they can't add something to a popular franchise. But I'm saying that at some point, God almighty, it'd be nice to go to a movie and feel joy again. It really would. It'd be nice to go and enjoy a film. And go see a movie like that's called The Legend of Tarzan and go, okay, I'm going to see an ape-man, have some wacky adventures. No, not some overly complicated diamonds for land, for slavery, evil plots set up by the henchmen of the King of Belgium for some reason. I don't know if that's historically accurate or not, but, suddenly the King of Belgium's the unforeseen villain, and watch Tarzan mope around all stoic and shit. Yeah, so it was a slog to get through. It wasn't enjoyable, and I didn't have a good time. Alexander Skarsgård, who plays Tarzan in this, God almighty, I know he's got charisma. He was on True Blood, and you can say whatever you want about that show, and there's a lot of bad things you can say about that show, but the people on it had charisma. You gotta give him that. I don't know where it all went in this. It was sucked out the window because he is just boring as hell. Like I said, they try to sass up the thing with having Samuel L. Jackson come in and make snide comments, and it doesn't work. First of all, can I just say this? I, like everybody else, love Samuel L. Jackson. He is awesome, but this guy, he must work cheap. I mean, how in the hell does he end up in all of these, for lack of a better term, B pictures that he does? I mean, he either works cheap or he's very much like the British actors who just likes working and he'll just do anything. Either way, I give the guy props. I like Sam Jackson a lot. But, like the biggest problem with him is the same problem with Jane, who Margaret something or other is the actress who plays Jane. She's going to play Harley Quinn in the upcoming Suicide Squad movie, which I'm looking forward to that movie even less now that I've seen her in this. The two of them go through they do not talk or act or behave like characters from that time period. They talk like they just walked off, a Marvel movie and into this one. They talk like an everyday person in this period film, and it's so out of place. It's so out of place. And God almighty, the Jane in this movie is, again, very anachronistic. Acts too much like a modern character in a period piece. And I'm going to get off on a rant here about this because it's just something that can we please, for God's sake, can we make a movie that takes place in a time period and ditch the woman in a corset joke or the snide comment about how sucky it was to wear a corset? Ladies, as a white male, I hereby, for all white men throughout all of history, apologize for making you wear corsets back in the day. We're sorry. We are so sorry. Now, can we please ditch these lines and these wink to the audience nods about how this damsel's not going to wear a corset. She's not constrained by no man's world. She's not going to be the typical damsel in distress, which, by the way, she is. Your movie and your statement about trying to make this Jane a strong, independent woman would go over a lot well if she didn't spend about 90% of the movie a hostage of the bad guy handcuffed the whole damn time. Okay? Now, to her credit, to the film's credit and to the actress's credit, this Jane is not like a simpering, Penelope Pitstop damsel in distress. She goes through steps to try to save herself. She plots her own escape attempt and does pretty well at it. So I give her credit for that. She doesn't just kind of lay back and take it. She's not meek. So I appreciate that. I can appreciate that interpretation. But it still all falls flat when she still has to be rescued by the man in the end. And what I'm saying is that your desperate attempt to make this not a damsel in distress, to make this character modern and hip and cool, it falls flat when, through all the sass, through all the hard-assedness, she still ends up kidnapped, a hostage for 90% of the movie, and having to be saved by the man in the end. It all kind of falls flat. I compared this film to Spectre a second ago, and it's kind of funny because Christopher Waltz plays the bad guy in it, and he was the villain. He played Blofeld in Spectre. And what's funny to me is that he seems like more of a Bond villain in this movie than in the movie where he actually played a Bond villain. Like he's got a gimmick of this little of this rosary that he uses to kill people. It's like that's a very Bond villain thing. It's like, man, I wish this character had been the bad guy in the last Bond film. It would have been more interesting. There's another villain played by Damon Hunsu, like supposedly some old enemy of Tarzan's, who sets this entire complicated plot in motion, and yet that storyline is resolved in like 2 seconds. And you're like, really? We built up to this? And, anyway. The CGI in this film is atrocious. Just like what's funny is that I have this sneaking suspicion, or I rather have a fun fan theory. I believe that this Tarzan movie takes place in the same universe as the live-action Jungle Book that came out earlier in the summer, because the animal animation looks almost exactly the same. They have this herd of elephants that comes through the movie for no real reason. They don't ride the elephants. The elephants don't, trample the bad guys or anything like that. No, they're just freaking elephants. There's a herd of elephants that come through. And the shot looks almost exactly like the shot in the Jungle Book where the same thing happened. Almost precisely. So the animation is crap. I don't know how much more you can rant about this movie, because I think this movie, the cardinal sin that this movie creates is that it's not even bad in a fun, memorable way. It's just dull and boring, and God almighty, I miss the days when movies were fun. I miss the day when popcorn movies were actually enjoyable. I wish we could go back to that. Now, but to kind of close out, now here's the interesting thing, and I feel like I should bring this up. Obviously, I went and saw this movie with my parents, and they both liked it. Now, I don't say that to, kind of go, oh, my parents liked it, ha ha ha. But to say that 3 people went and saw it, and 2 out of the 3 liked it. You're just not hearing the opinions of the 2 people who enjoyed it. You're hearing the rant of the person who didn't. So what that says is that, obviously I'm not any kind of critical genius. I'm just telling you my opinions. So it's possible that you can go and see this movie and get some enjoyment out of it and appreciate it on its own merit. Boy, it's bright out today. So there's a possibility that you might go see this movie and really, and dig it. Me, I didn't. I was bored, and I like a lot of people, and like Sherlock Holmes, in this day and age with constant stimulation, I think one of the cardinal sins at a movie is to be bored. So I say, if you gotta see this one, do like most of you already have. Check it out when it hits Netflix or something, but don't expect too much. Go watch the Johnny Weissmuller. Go watch the originals. Yes, they're not politically correct. They're kind of corny. They're a bit, they're pretty dated. But, you have a good time with them. Go watch the Disney version. Again, Rosie O'Donnell and singing gorillas notwithstanding, and Phil Collins' music notwithstanding, it's still an enjoyable film, and you still have fun with it. It's got a lot of energy to it. Don't go see this. It's got none of those things. It's got no charm. It's got no energy, and absolutely everybody on screen looks like they would rather be somewhere else. So if they'd rather be somewhere else, then you should probably be somewhere else too. So that's my 2 cents on the Legend of Tarzan. Hope if nothing else you enjoy the review. So until I see you again, which I'll be getting back to Tennessee, and once I get my schedule kind of figured out, I'll probably be going to the movies a little bit more often, so I'll be getting these up a little bit sooner. So I'm looking forward to that. So until then, drive safe, and we'll see you at the movies.